Hello and welcome back to Everyman Prepping. Hope you're having a great day. And as you can see behind me, I have the World on Fire screen set up there because we're going to talk about the escalations going on with the Russian-Ukraine war and how all of the NATO countries are trying to push even further into a World War III. Before we get into that though, I want to thank everybody that saw my latest video on what to have in your pantry for extending your meals. It's had a lot of great comments and a lot of people checking it out, so thank you so much for that. I'll put a card up above if you haven't checked it out yet, so you can also check that out. And let's get on now with what we're talking about over there with Russia and Ukraine. As you can see here, it says, Putin says, victory is unavoidable, basically. So at the 80th anniversary, now this, I'm going to go in a sequence of events here of what happened like Wednesday of last week all the way up to today, so you can see how even the last 4 or 5 days, how things are escalating. So, what we have here is on Wednesday, the 80th anniversary of the Red Army breaking siege of St. Petersburg. And what Vladimir Putin was putting out in a speech is that the victory in Ukraine is unavoidable. So it doesn't sound like he's going to back down. Of course, he has to pump up the troops during this time, but he's also telling the world and NATO and the U.S. that, we're going for victory. We're not stopping. What are you going to do about it? So that's what he's saying. It says, all that we're doing today as part of a special military operation is an attempt to stop this war. This is the meaning of our operation, protecting people who live in those territories. What he's saying is the ongoing fighting in the Donbass since 2014, it's heavily populated by Russians, and they're seeing that as aggression towards the Russians that the Ukraine is putting on. And according to Putin, you have to take it from his side, they're doing this to stop that war over there, the war of aggression on their people. Now they're saying here, but the full mobilization has yet to come. That's right. Russia's mobilizing close to almost 1 million men to put on. There's rumors going about that they're smuggling troops into Belarus to have them come up from the north side. There's all kinds of rumors going about what's going to happen, but something soon is going to break. So we had that on Wednesday, and then we move on to this, which is the next day. Before we go further, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below with what you think is going on with this, and if you think we're escalating towards an unstoppable World War III. But as it says here, that Russia puts air defense on Moscow rooftops amid fear of long-range strikes. So this was the day after Putin said that the victory for them is unavoidable. So going on here, we see that air defense systems have reportedly been installed on several rooftops in the capital of Russia, which is Moscow. They were put on an administrative building and on the Russian Defense Ministry's National Defense Center. So why are they doing this? Do they really fear that NATO or Ukraine is going to strike Moscow? Because if that happens, all bets are off. Then we're really going full-scale World War III. Everybody's involved. Russia's not holding back anymore. China's probably getting involved to help them. So do they really think that's going to happen? Or is Russia going to do something so massive on this mobilization, new attack, that they fear they will get attacked back? Are they going to do something so, I don't know if I would say egregious, but so surprising, so shock and awe that they would expect some blowback on their capital? Could be it. Another thing I was thinking is maybe they just want to give security to their people. They've had some long-range drone attacks on some airfields within Russia to make the people of Moscow, they got to win those hearts and minds too. They got to make sure those people still support the war. So they put this air defense artillery up, the S-400s in some neighborhoods, just to calm the masses over there. And here you see some pictures of the buildings, and they got the stuff arriving and going up top. It's way up here where my mouse is circling. That's where their air defense system is. It says this decision from Moscow came on the same day the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov warned it would be an escalation if Western countries provided Ukraine with long-range weapons, enough to hit Moscow. It would bring the conflict to a whole new level, which, of course, would not bode well from the point of view of global and pan-European security, of course. One other thing I wanted to point out here is, now it says here, though, that Kiev, however you want to pronounce it, is independently reporting on last Friday, so this is on Wednesday, so this is a Friday ago, a little over a week ago, that the Ukrainian defense company, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that, Ukroboronprom, announced it had completed testing of a long-range drone. The drone has a range of more than 1,000 kilometers or about 620 miles, and it carries a payload of 165 pounds. So now we're asking, well, can they hit Moscow with that range? Oh, I did the math for you in the map, and the distance from, as a bird flies, as a missile flies from Kiev to Moscow is 529 miles. So this would hit it. If they really go 620 miles, and if they really developed it, yes, they can hit Moscow from Kiev even. Not to say any, areas north of Kiev, they can even hit further into Russia. So yes, this is true. Is this why Russia's afraid? Do they know that the Ukrainians have developed this, so they just want to protect their citizens? I think we're going to find out sooner than later. And then we go on here to Dmitry Medvedev, who I said, this is today. So the next two articles we're talking about is today. So how did this ramp up today? Wednesday we have victory's ours. It's unavoidable. Thursday we're putting up air defense systems. Sunday today we have Dmitry Medvedev, who's the deputy chair of the Russian Security Council. And he said the meeting at Ramstein, all of NATO met at Ramstein on Friday to talk about what they're going to do next. Heavy weapons, tanks, artillery, all that. What are we going to do to continue this proxy war, basically? And it says the meeting at Ramstein and the allocation of heavy weaponry to Kiev leaves no doubt that our enemies will be trying to wear us out for an indefinite period of time, or preferably to destroy us. So, from Russia's point of view, they're fighting all of NATO. They're fighting in the United States, and they're just funneling it in through Ukraine. And he says, however, the prolongation of the hostilities in Ukraine may ultimately lead to the emergence of a new military bloc that brings together nations, quote unquote, fed up with the Americans. So he points out the Americans because they know that's their true enemy. They know who's pushing this. They know they can push NATO and European countries to do things. And he's saying, hey, if you keep this up, there's going to be another coalition of countries against you. He's probably talking about, North Korea, China, Iraq, who knows who else he's talking about. But he's basically laying out the sides. Everybody's choosing sides in this world war we're going into. And that leads to the last article here. The German minister says it would not stand in the way of Poland sending tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine's begging for these tanks, the Leopards. The United Kingdom said they're already going to send the Challenger 2. They'd like the U.S. to send Abrams. The U.S. did send Bradleys there. They've sent over a battalion's worth of Bradleys. I don't even go into the fact the U.S. is depleting most of their stocks. And, is this just what China and other countries are waiting for, the U.S. to blow through most of their stuff before the other shoe drops and there's another war opened up somewhere else? But that's a discussion for another day, of course. It says here that as the producer of the Leopard tanks, Berlin has a veto on their transfer. But like they said, they're not going to stand in the way, according to what the Poland's the spokesman from Germany. Poland's prime minister said Germany's attitude is unacceptable. It has been almost a year since the war began. Innocent people are dying every day. And what he's talking about is Germany just not giving the full go-ahead, just not go ahead and giving their own Leopard tanks. Poland really wants these tanks to go there, and they really want, Germany said they won't stand in the way, but they want them to give them the green light, basically. And they're getting a little upset that they're not doing that. It says here, and this article goes on for a while talking about other stuff, but the last thing I want to point out is that Poland's looking to give 14 tanks. Is that enough to stop Russia? No, it's only 14 tanks. Russia probably has hundreds of tanks. But I think what Poland's looking for basically here is if they send 14 and the UK sends 14 or 20, and then maybe the United States will then kick in the Abrams. By the way, I think the U.S. will send Abrams eventually. It's going to get to that point, and then I think Russia's going to step it even further. So that's what I want to summarize here. Dmitry Medvedev pointed out basically we're fighting all of Russia, we're fighting all of NATO and the United States, the Americans. And now we're into sending heavy weapons, other munitions. They're replenishing the HIMARS. So how long? I mean, just put yourself in Putin's shoes, in Russia's shoes, just from the other side. One of those art of war things. You want to look at it from someone else's angle. Like I said in the other article, they think what they're doing is right. They are protecting their homeland, their people, so they're justified. So think about that. And then you have all these countries fighting you, but they're not taking any. Their soldiers aren't dying. Their infrastructure is not getting damaged, but Russia's is. So how long before Russia says, okay, enough of this. You guys need to feel pain. I'm going to make you stop sending these weapons and armament and money to Ukraine. How long before Russia says, UK, you're going to feel pain. Americans, you're going to feel some pain. Poland, Germany, whoever it is. And what's that pain going to be? Is it going to be an attack with munitions? That's probable. I don't think it's possible right now, at least. Could it be cyber attack, EMP attack? I think those are more likely, especially the cyber attack. Could it be attack on the financial system? Yes, it could, because they know that'll hurt the Americans more. And once again, if we get an EMP here, lights out, grid down, gigantic financial collapse here, there was just riots yesterday in Georgia with fires and killings and all that. What do you think is going to happen if it goes dark and there's no money? Just think about the riots then. So if you think there's civil unrest now, wait and see if that happens. And I think Russia knows that, and they know they can really hurt us with that. So for you to take all this information, what you need to do, you need to prep your self-defense. You're already doing your food, water, and all that, but prep your self-defense for that civil unrest that might come if there's a cyber attack, financial attack, something else, locally here with a sleeper cell does something, but they might be looking to do, civil unrest here and let us just eat ourselves, let the United States eat themselves up from within. So prep your self-defense, go over your tools, your tactics, your procedures, all that. Make sure you have everybody in your family, they know what to do, they know where to meet if they're separated because there's civil unrest, where to go, safe spots, safe passwords, safe zones, all that stuff with your friends and family. Write in the comments below what you're doing to prepare for anything that Russia might retaliate with, whether it be kinetically or cyber or EMP or anything like that. Just put it in the comments below. I'm sure people would love to hear what you're thinking. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.